Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyersportsbetting.com for premium picks. Look us up. We're in the sports section on Roku, Dwyer Boxing, and Sports News. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. About an hour ago, the Anthony Mundine, Shane Mosley fight ended, and let me just tell you, here's what I think you need to know. This was a great chess match. This fight's actually one of the better fights I've seen, right? Not in terms of the action, but in terms of the chess play. Now, it wasn't reported or recorded as such during the fight, but I believe when you look at this fight, you're going to be stunned in the fourth round. In my opinion, after Mosley dazes Anthony Mundine, Mundine comes back and actually knocks down Shane Mosley. It's not ruled an official knockdown. Quite frankly, I don't know why not. Because Mosley gets hit with a bomb, tries to survive, and then hits the canvas. Right, folks? I consider that a knockdown. Right? It should have been recorded as a knockdown. Let me go one step further. You know, I've never seen Shane Mosley that badly hurt. You know, this to me is worse than Mosley getting knocked down by Manny Pacquiao, right? Mosley is struggling. Mundine, quite frankly, is a master, right? Mundine is the kind of guy who is deconstructing an opponent. Let me say this. Although this fight took place at 154 pounds, put me among those who believes that if Mundine gets a shot on currently unbeaten middleweight champion Kid Chocolate Peter Quillin, I don't care where that fight is, I'll take Anthony Mundine in that fight. Right? Mundine, quite frankly, is a thinking man's fighter. I have a list that I keep of fighters who, quite frankly, usually have a mental advantage on their opponents. These are the guys who I think are the smartest men in boxing, right? Who literally, all things being equal, will outthink an opponent and will find ways to win, right? I consider Floyd Mayweather to be the sport's smartest man. Other guys on this list of smart fighters: Vitaly Klitschko, Bernard Hopkins, Andre Ward, Sergio Martinez, Juan Manuel Marquez, Guillermo Regundio, Orlando Salido, and Evander Holyfield. Right? These are guys who, to me, in the middle of a fight, can look at their opponent, can see strengths and weaknesses, can literally beat the opponent, not with hand speed or foot speed, but with intelligence. Anthony Mundine is on that list. This fight is masterful. Mundine is interesting because Mundine has huge ring coverage. In other words, Mundine knows how to maximize his length in the ring. He can hit you with jabs from halfway across the ring. He has a size advantage here on Shane Mosley. He maximizes the size advantage, right? Mosley can't get close to him. Think Vladimir Klitschko in most of his fights. Mundine's jab is accurate. It's like a laser. When Shane Mosley tries to get inside, Mundine's hitting him with the jab. But then, of course, Mundine's ring savvy takes over. And incredibly, while playing a length game, Mundine actually starts hunting down Shane Mosley. This happens early in the fight. Mundine starts walking down Shane Mosley without rushing in, behind a long jab. Mosley tries to come in on occasion with bombs, tries to come in with body shots. Mosley's great at hitting you in the liver. But Mundine has his hands high. Mundine further is turned at the side and he's leaning. It's very hard to hit Mundine anywhere. It's always hard to hit Mundine anywhere. Understand, Mundine is defensively gifted. He's one of the very best in boxing defensively. Now, Mundine is in his later 30s. His reflexes are not what they used to be. He has the technique, but he doesn't have the reflexes. I know the scorecards had Mundine winning this by a shutout. I'm going to disagree. I want you, the boxing fan, to look at the third round. I gave the third round to Shane Mosley, right? Mundine gets hit with shots. But understand, the shots have to get around Mundine's defense. In other words, the shot has to literally be right here, right? Because Mundine has hands up. Mundine rarely is unprotected, right? As I said, he's a thinking man's fighter. What this means, for all of you making predictions on fights, is that against a guy with slower hand speed than Shane Mosley, right? Against a guy who throws slower and tips his punches, Anthony Mundine is going to have a decided advantage. Where Mundine has a problem would be against the guy with volume, right? A guy who can throw a bunch of punches with, let's say, average to above average hand speed with volume. Think Daniel Gill. Might overwhelm a guy like Mundine, who at times in this fight, even given the lethal nature of Shane Mosley's right hand and the fact that Mosley lands that right hand and has Mundine in significant trouble in the third round, Mundine is so confident of his estimation of distance and space that Mundine at times just leans back while Mosley's throwing the right hand. Right? Let me just say this. Had Mundine been fighting, let's say, someone who knew that maneuver was coming, had Shane Mosley been prepared for that maneuver, what Mosley could have done is fake the right hand, right? Mundine would have leaned like this, then Mosley should have taken a step in and delivered the right hand. Let me say this, the third round is so good. Mosley lands a bomb right hand. It's the same right hand he landed on Floyd Mayweather, on Mundine, who's clearly hurt. Then Mosley comes in for the kill. The problem's this, Mundine's a great counterpuncher. So Mundine lands his own bomb, and I'm here to tell you Shane Mosley was in trouble after getting hit with Mundine's bomb. The reason why I give Mosley the third round is I think Mosley did more in the 3 minutes than did Anthony Mundine. But Mundine lands a bomb in the third round. In the fourth round, Mundine drops Mosley. I know the referee doesn't consider it a drop. You tell me, sports fan, how when Mosley hits the canvas, keep in mind, Mosley gets hit with a shot. It's a Mundine right hand. Mosley gets hit with a shot. He's dazed and confused. He then tries to hold on to Mundine, who, again, this is what smart fighters do. This is why Mundine is Mundine. Mundine skillfully backs away as Mosley is trying to grab him. Keep in mind, this is right after Mundine has landed a bomb. A lot of fighters would try to take a step forward and throw punches. Not Mundine. Mundine sees Mosley falling like a redwood tree, and Mundine moves away. Mosley, of course, falls awkwardly. There's a little bit of a delay between Mundine's punch and Mosley's hitting the canvas. I believe that confused the referee. In my opinion, that fourth round should have been a 10-8 round for Anthony Mundine. Also, in an interview after the Floyd Mayweather fight, Mosley actually talked about how Mayweather leaned on the back of his head. You know that move boxers do where they put their forearm on the back of the guy's neck, right? And Mosley talked about how that stiffened up his back and gave him problems. I want you to watch Mundine in the first 2-3 rounds of this fight. Mundine, of course, skillfully leans on the back of Mosley's neck. Now, the ref's actually a good ref. It's Raul Caez. Caez actually warns Mundine. Doesn't stop the fight to make a big theater of it, but Raul Caez sees what's going on and warns Mundine about it. But it's clear that Mundine was going to do whatever it took to, slow down Shane Mosley. And Mosley's back's clearly giving him problems. Let me say this. I know Jack Mosley wanted the fight to continue. He's in Mosley's corner. Had this fight continued, in my opinion, Shane Mosley would have been stopped. Right? The thing with Mundine is Mundine throws very straight punches. That jab is straight. Let's say the jab hits here with the left hand. Mundine can come back and throw a right hand, and he throws it almost on the same plane. His right hand comes in the same angle. There is no loop on Mundine's straight right hand. Right? And so all I can say is this is a great fight by Mundine. I had Mundine winning the first, second, fourth round 10-8, fifth, and sixth. I had Shane Mosley winning the third. Mosley has punching power. Still, Mosley has hand speed. Mosley doesn't tip that right hand. He's fought two great defensive fighters in recent fights, Floyd and Mundine, and he's hit both of them flush with that overhand right hand. That's hard to do, right? In my opinion, he's fighting defensive wizards who didn't know the punch was coming, right? In other words, there's no tell on what he's doing with that right hand. The problem with Mosley at this stage, though, at 42, is he clearly has back problems that could flare up at any time. If you're a Shane Mosley bettor, you just need to be aware as you assess the risks that there may be times where Mosley has back spasms. That's what the referee talks about at the end of the fight. Let me also say this too. Mosley had never been stopped in his career. Before the referee comes over, Jack Mosley is talking to his son in the corner. Mosley starts to talk back. Before the ref comes over, there is talk in the Mosley corner about whether or not the fight should continue. Right? Jack Mosley clearly wants the fight to continue, but I need for you to listen to the dialogue. This is before the referee comes over. Right? There's talk in that corner about whether the fight should continue. When the referee pulls the plug, Mosley doesn't complain. Right? Now, you know me here online. I'm a guy who's skeptical of early stoppages. Right? I'm just here to say this stoppage is appropriate. Because in my opinion, Mosley, quite frankly, gets knocked down in the fourth round. Looks bad in the fifth and sixth. He's in with the guy who is accurate. Right? Is delivering punches, is thinking it through, is fully aware of how hurt Shane Mosley is. Right? Mosley is definitely having problems with his back. Mosley's game as he's aged has dropped in volume. In my opinion, in the second half of this fight, Shane Mosley would have been a sitting duck. Right? I believe Shane Mosley would give someone like, dare I say it, Juan Manuel Marquez a very difficult fight at 147. Understand, there was a size difference here. There wouldn't be a size difference for Mosley Marquez. Also, Marquez, very savvy in the ring. but doesn't have great foot speed and doesn't have the length that Mundine maximized here to his advantage. Right? So Mosley, against a guy more his size, wouldn't be dealing with the problems he had trying to get through a very straight and a very crisp Anthony Mundine jab. I also feel Mosley is a slugger masquerading as a boxer. Right? Mosley's one of the hardest punchers in the sport. Folks, look at the end of his fight against Ricardo Mayorga. Look at the end of his fights against Fernando Vargas. Right? Mosley, look at his fight against Antonio Margarito. By the way, all of these guys had reputations of having great chins. Right? My point is simply this. Mosley's power is a great equalizer. Right? But Mosley's volume has dropped. I wouldn't want to see Mosley in against, let's say, a very fast fighter who would riddle him with punches up close, like a Devin Alexander at 147 pounds. I also wouldn't want to see Mosley in with a slugger who can actually move around the ring, right? Who has some boxing ability, like Keith Thurman. But I believe Mosley against Marquez, I think that's a competitive fight. If Mosley's going to fight again at 154 pounds, he needs to fight someone who doesn't have the length dynamic of Anthony Mundine. As for Mundine, you'll notice that many of the guys on my smart list are actually older fighters. Right? Floyd mid-30s, Vitali early 40s, Bernard late 40s, right? Sergio Martinez mid-30s, Marquez early 40s, Holyfield, I think he's early 50s now, right? Rigo's in his 30s, Salido, I believe, is in his 30s. Andre Ward's an outlier. He's that rare guy in his 20s who seems to just have the sport figured out. The point, though, is with Mundine's mental, and that's what it is, mental approach to boxing, he could continue his career for quite some time, right? Let me shake things up. I think if his opponent doesn't have excessive volume, right, and above average hand speed to go with the volume, right, I think Mundine has a chance. Mundine Darren Barker, to me, is a very interesting fight. Mundine at 38 has to be viewed as a serious contender in whatever fight he has. Right? Mundine Martinez is a little bit complicated because Mundine's jab's a great weapon. But Martinez is a southpaw, so the jab might not land with the regularity it did in this fight. Right? But just understand, Anthony Mundine is still world class. Let's talk about a controversial fight here in my last, let's say, minute and a half. Mundine Mayweather. Mundine's physically a lot bigger than Mayweather. Mundine just beat Shane Mosley by a much wider margin than did Mayweather. Right? Mundine has a length dynamic that Mayweather doesn't have. Mayweather is the much faster fighter. Mayweather moves around the ring a lot better than does Shane Mosley. Right? That fight would be a great chess match, but it would have to take place at 154 pounds because of Mundine's size. I wouldn't want to see Mundine try to lose weight to get to 147. Right? If that fight were announced at 147, I'd go with Floyd. At 154, it's murkier because of Mundine's skills. Right? These are the kind of skills that age well. Also, unlike, let's say, a Daniel Gill, Mayweather isn't very high volume. Mundine's the kind of opponent who would force Floyd to have to come inside and to throw bombs. I will say this, though. Mundine's badly hurt a couple times against Shane Mosley, right? At 154, weight loss hurts your chin. Mundine might not have a great chin at 154. Count me among those, and I know I'm in the minority, who feels that Mundine Mayweather would be a very intriguing fight. Maybe not as exciting as Khan Mayweather, but I believe it would be a more advanced chess match. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Tell us if you think I'm full of it that Shane Mosley gets knocked down in the 4th round. I don't know why it wasn't counted as a knockdown. Somebody's going to have to tell me what went on there, right? Because Mosley, to me, gets hit. When I see a guy get hit, the guy's dazed and confused. Then the guy tries to grab. Then the guy hits the canvas. I'm sorry. If I'm a judge, I'm saying he looks knocked down to me. That's a 10-8 round, unless the guy does something spectacular the rest of the round, right? I thought the 4th round was a 10-8 round. I thought the 4th round showed you how bad off Shane Mosley was in the fight. And I believe the reason he was bad off was because of Mundine's length, Mundine's accuracy. That jab's working early. Let me tell you who Anthony Mundine is. He has the jab working early. He then starts following it up with other punches. By the time we get to the 6th round, Mundine's actually leading in with left hooks. Mundine changes his defense throughout the fight. 1 minute he's like this. The next minute he's like this. Right? I'm just here telling you, Mundine is figuring things out and trying harder and harder punches as the fight goes along. I want you to look for Mundine's short right uppercut. That's a beautiful punch. When you see Mundine able to get in close and drop a right shoulder a few times on Shane Mosley, that's when you realized that Mundine had reached the point where he wasn't even afraid to get right up close to Mosley. In other words, he starts the fight from distance with a lean and a jab. Then he's on his front foot. Then he's slowly working things in. First the straight right hand, then the lead left hook. Then he starts doing a short right uppercut, right? Shane Mosley's lucky this fight didn't make it to the 8th or 9th rounds. Let me hear from you. Thanks for stopping by.